Good evening and welcome to another episode of Sunday Sessions with Gugu. We're so happy that you could join us this evening. Tonight, like every other night, we have a jam-packed, informative and entertaining show for you. And as we kickstart our second episode of the second season, please do show us some love in the comment section and engage with us. Coming up on the show tonight, I have three guests from across different fields who will join me in conversation. And of course, I'm not alone. Our resident DJ LT will end off the show with the headline set. We'd also like to inform you, our supporters of SSG's former health and fitness expert, Red Mkhwebi's departure on the show. We wish Red nothing but the best as he embarks on his sporting projects. Now, my very first guest on tonight's show is Leanne van der Merwe, the founder and director of Social Health and Empowerment Feminist Collective, which is also known as SHE. She is an Eastern Cape-based feminist collection of trans, intersex women and organization with an African focus. It is unfortunate that we are living in a world where transgender people face stigma and discrimination every other day. So Leanne is joining me in studio this evening to unpack this topic. Hello, Leanne.
Hi, Gugu.
How are you doing?
I'm well.
That's good. That's
How are
good.
you?
I'm doing okay. I think I'm doing all right. How have you been navigating the pandemic? Are you keeping healthy? Well, in good spirits?
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us today. To kick things off, Leanne, I just wanted to unpack, some of the challenges that are experienced by transgender people on a day-to-day basis.
I mean, they are multi-leveled. They exist at multiple levels within our society. But I always say that I think transgender people navigate gender when they wake up in the morning and they do so at night. If you go out of your house and you get into a taxi and people kind of explore that gender nonconformity and the kind of backlash that comes with that, that in itself is gendered.
Yeah.
If you arrive at work, the constant explanations about what you're wearing, who you're hanging out with, who you're dating, what bathroom you're using at work. So it's a series of things throughout your day that are very, like having to navigate gendered dynamics throughout the day.
And I want to maybe draw into our health system as a whole. I saw a video that was released by a news outlet earlier on this year of how transgender people were really struggling, to get proper quality medical attention at clinics as well. So I just want to zone into the health system of it all and how is it that our country is catering for transgender people in the health system?
For transgender people, I think it's also a very multifaceted issue, the issue of transgender healthcare, because while you're navigating access to gender-affirming care, which is essentially cross-sex hormones, surgery, and ongoing care, I think we also have a hugely disproportionate burden of HIV. So SHE, in collaboration with other civil society organizations, as well as the Human Sciences Research Council, has done a study among transgender women in 2016.
Sure.
And we found that the HIV rates were just very disproportionate to what we see in the general rate. So just to give you an idea, East London had a HIV prevalence rate of 46%, Johannesburg 63%, and Cape Town 45%.
Sure.
I mean, we can agree that those are very disproportionate to what we see as a country in general. And so the conversation for me is always around, what do I navigate first? It brings us to that conversation around the chicken and the egg. What do I attend to first? So it might be that I address my HIV and those concerns first, or I seek transgender healthcare first.
Sure.
And it's always a very difficult one, and also one that has its roots in violence.
Sure. I hear you. And now, speaking of the challenges, we've also seen violence, towards transgender people. What would you say are the contributing factors where people lash out and become violent towards transgender people?
I think in the context of the Eastern Cape,
yes,
one has to understand that Transgender itself is a term that originated in the West and in Europe.
Sure.
And so, you know, the fact that we don't have in the vernacular language, the language set that we have is very stigmatizing because we're talking about concepts like stabane, inkonkoni. Those are, you know, those are inherently stigmatizing. So I think one of the core things, at the very core of it, is a misunderstanding and kind of this language that we've inherited from the West around gender diversity.
Sure.
So I think our core mission should be to kind of, you know, come up with language to describe this in vernacular so that we can explain this for the person in Pretoria, but also the person in Umqanduli.
Yes, Leanne, yeah.
So I think the fact that we don't have a language set around this is in itself, you know, contributing factor to violence. Also, I think gender nonconformity gives way to violence because we're raised in a very gendered society. The first thing we always ask, what are you, a man or a woman?
Hey, sure.
So when we get into a taxi and somebody looks at you and you appear, you know, visibly gender non-conforming, like how do we react to that? Our first inkling is violence.
Hey.
Because, you know, we are raised in a society that's got us classified only as men or only as women.
Where do you think those changes could start coming about? You know what I mean? Should we introduce, you know, this topic to learners at school? You know, how is it that we can shift, you know, the mental thinking of society?
I think for me, the first place to start would be the home.
Sure.
You cannot always change the system for the person, but you can build resilience in the person.
Sure.
To respond to a system to which we are all acculturated.
Sure.
And I think if we work, especially I think with mothers as primary caregivers, to build their resilience and build their support, I think they also then have the ability to protect their children better.
Yes.
Because sometimes, I mean, if we think of a village just anywhere in the Eastern Cape province, like who makes the decisions, it's the fathers, right? But I think mothers also have a very unique role to play in that.
Sure.
And I think mothers should really be strengthened to build resilience in order to respond to their children.
Sure. I want to touch on representation, you know, within the media. I was just saying to you before the show how across the world we're starting to see a representation in terms of the series that we watch, you know, of transgender people. What about South Africa? What would your comment be on the representation?
I must tell you that, you know, on the issue of media representation, with both journalists calling me around the Caitlyn Jenner story.
Oh, okay.
People had called me, and you know, journalists were talking, and I'm wanting to talk about Caitlyn Jenner. People asking me, "Oh, don't you think it's a great thing for transgender people to now have this kind of representation?" And I'm like, "That's wonderful for the United States of America,
but what
does that mean for South Africa?
Yes.
What does that mean for East London?
Yes.
Or Umtata?"
Yes.
So I don't resonate with Caitlyn. I can't say that we share a similar experience. Yes, we have a trans experience in common, me and her as transgender women, but I don't have, I'm not acculturated in that lap of luxury. There was no coming out moment for me. Right? I grew up with this gender nonconformity and I had to make sense of it. And I had to make sense of it in the world, the real world. And so when people asked me about Caitlyn Jenner, it was like,
far off.
I don't know how to respond to that, right? I do think within the South African market there is potential for transgender people to be represented. Because for me, it's also a very deeply political issue. If you look at movies in America, for example, it's always cisgender people who play the role of transgender people. If you look at movies like A Girl Like Me, Gwen Araho's story, when that was portrayed, it was portrayed by a cisgender person. If you look at the movie Trans America, it was portrayed by Felicity Huffman, formerly of Desperate Housewives. Right? And so I do think that it's disrespectful, particularly within the South African context, because as a country, we're now moving there. We've seen a little bit of that in Generations.
Okay.
But again, it wasn't a transgender person playing the
playing that
transgender
role.
role. So we're sorely lacking in the South African media representation.
Sure, sure. Now, I want to speak about the community of transgender people in the city. You know, I like how you were very specific about, you know, catering for the city and representation within the province or in the country. What is the community like in the city?
In the city, I think we are far more, we have better access to resources.
Sure.
And what I always say is that the work for me should really not be at a university, at a seminar room.
Okay.
The work should be for me in Mkanduli,
Sure.
in Mtansane, at the community level, because that's where we need to change lives. I think in the urban centers, we have access to things. We have access to medical practitioners.
Sure.
We can train those medical practitioners. But what about a medical student who's doing her community here, who is seeing a client in a hospital in a rural area? I think that's where the work needs to be located.
Understood, understood. I want to speak more about She now, you know, the work that you're doing, you know, behind this amazing organization. Let's speak more about it and why it was important for you to create, you know, something like this.
I've always believed that in helping myself, I needed to help other people. I always just wanted to transition. So I was born male, and so I wanted to transition, and, you know, I kind of like saw myself as the next Oprah Winfrey. And, you know, discrimination happened and life didn't go that way. And so I started this organization because I felt like within the Eastern Cape, nobody was talking about this.
Sure.
And nobody in our community had a voice in terms of, you know, understanding trans rights, making sure that we have equitable access to health care, first and foremost, addressing the violence. And so I think that context gave birth to building the organization She. At the time, I had a full-time job, and so my body got used to sleeping 3 hours. So I would come from work, I would work on the concept documents for She, and before I knew it, you know, we had a small office downtown, and we've grown since.
Lovely. And what are so, you know, some of the work and the projects that you've been a part of, or She that has been doing?
So, you know, I think first and foremost, we have quite a big health portfolio.
Okay.
Because I think, first of all, people, when I started this work, the one thing that I heard all around me was the need for mental health and having equitable access to mental health care, myself included. So when I came to East London, you know, the healthcare service would be located in Mtansane. I stayed in East London. What does that mean for me to travel there? I get to see the psychologist once every 3 months. You know, how do I deal and how do I cope with all of that?
Sure.
So I think when we started this work, the majority of us had a dire need for appropriate and quality health care.
Yes.
So that's a big portfolio of the work.
Sure.
The other part is awareness raising, speaking to communities, creating an enabling environment for people.
Sure.
So that's the other leg of the work. You know, it continues to grow, and as the times change, especially now that we've had COVID, we've also realized that some of this work we need to also move to digital platforms.
Yes.
But we've got to kind of consider whether does our constituency have access to this platform?
Understood.
And how do we create that access? So as time goes and the context changes, the work needs to change.
I hear you. Well, you're doing really lovely work, Leanne. And lastly, I just wanted to get a sense from you, how can people access the She platform on digital services, and how can they, you know, speak and reach out to you?
So we have a Facebook page.
All right.
That is called Impilo Yethu.
Okay.
And normally if people drop us a message there,
Okay.
we either call them back. We also have a physical presence within East London where somebody can come once a week. We have, in collaboration with the WRHI, we have access to a medical practitioner. We do have 3 nurses in the office.
Okay.
We do have a psychosocial practitioners in the form of a psychologist.
Wow.
And 2 social workers.
Wow.
So we are based at number 92 Curry Street in Quigley.
Okay.
And folks can also reach us primarily through our Facebook page. And if they drop us a message,
Yes.
we can make sure that we reach back to them.
Lovely stuff. Thank you so much, Leanne, for your time.
Thank you for having me.
I truly appreciate it. All right, that was Leanne van der Merwe, our very first studio guest on Sunday Sessions with Gugu this evening. Do not go anywhere. After the break, we have our musical guest.
KNR is on the pulse of local and international content, offering audiences an opportunity to be part of the global conversation in a fast-changing and increasingly digitized world of communication. Headquartered in East London, Eastern Cape, we broadcast nationwide and stream to the world. As the day breaks, social crossover with Loza Wamvene touches the airwaves, pregnant with compelling content.
We talk about everything that you need to know in the morning. It will help you prepare for the day in a special way. KNR Aishishis Aina Media Masbeneti.
In an increasingly digitized and global economy, businesses and state entities are under pressure to stand out and create awareness about key offerings and new services. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let's do radio according to you.
So my next guest is Butterworth-born hip-hop recording artist Ubulumko Mapukata, better known as Slogan the Rapper. Slogan is known for his quality lyrical delivery, his crowd-exciting performances, and unpredictable flows. He discovered his love for hip-hop music at the age of 11 after being introduced to the likes of Proverb, Dumi, and Jay-Z by his uncles. Slogan joins me in studio this evening to speak about his music. Slogan.
How are you, G?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great.
I'm
doing great.
so happy to have you on the
Finally,
show.
I'm here.
I know, right? Oh wow, lovely to have you. Lovely to have you. So Slogan, I wanna find out from you.
Yes.
What was it about hip hop in particular that drew you in?
I think just growing up, I definitely needed a voice, you know, because there's so much that I experienced during my time, you know, as a kid and all of that. So I just needed something to channel my emotions because I tried to play soccer. I mean, I think I was good at it, but beyond that, I just needed something to express myself because we go through so much feelings and we're a black community, so we're not really that expressive. So I just needed an outlet. So that's basically that.
Lovely, lovely. And how was your decision to do hip hop in particular?
Yeah.
You know, received by your family and your people?
I remember my mom telling me that this is so satanic, you know. It was around the Illuminati times. That's even worse.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
But as time went by, I guess it started bringing an income, you know, that I could start sustaining myself and all of that. So, you know, when that income comes in, you know, the conversation is totally different. You know, start buying groceries and all of that. So, I mean, as time goes by, they warmed into the idea of me just doing hip hop music specifically because I couldn't be a gospel artist. You know, I'm not that spiritual, but my friends decided to be. So I just stick with hip hop music because it's more relevant to me.
Lovely stuff.
Yeah.
Let's speak about your music in particular.
Exactly.
What type of themes, what type of content you explore within your music?
I as of current, I'm into relationships a lot because I feel like that's a part of me that I haven't really expressed. What I go through like what people go through generally in relationships. But far beyond that, I speak about my life. I'm a varsity student. What I go through. Just financial problems that we go through and all of that. So my music just unpacks a lot of stuff that teenagers, the youth, what do you call this? Your early adult life, what you go through. So that's what I impact on my music a lot, and I try to make sure that it goes well across. You know?
Yeah. Great stuff. And Slogan, I'd love to know, what are some of your most memorable moments or like achievements that you've, had in your career that you were like, you know what, I did that.
Funny enough, this is a funny social media moment, but for me, I took it really. I held it up. I've done performances for Casper and all of these other guys. I've opened for them, but I feel like the most one that I hold to the heart is when the Rick Ross saga happened.
In our city.
Yes,
Oh, yes, I remember
Rick
that.
Ross that is by far one of my of the performances that I could remember off top, just because of the hard work we placed just for that show, because we're like, you know what, if we are going to be on this stage with an artist of that caliber, so we might as well just represent it to the highest call. So even though there's obstacles that happened, but it still went out my way.
Love to hear that. Love that. Okay, so obviously the pandemic has brought about some great challenges
Hectic.
for creative artists, and we're actually going to speak about that later on in the show. But for you as an individual, how have you been navigating the pandemic as a hip-hop artist?
I think from an early age, I've learned that we have to have different income streams, as especially as an artist, because the industry is just not guaranteed on what would happen at any time. So obviously this pandemic has been tragic to each and every one of my peers, myself too, because this is what generates most of the income and all of that. But due to the fact that I've learned from an early age and had ways to investments that are there. I found myself branching more into other businesses that I was involved in, be it construction, and far beyond that, just assisting where I can, because we have to make a living. But far beyond that, I would like to commend the fact that we see a lot of artists coming forward right now and saying that the president needs to accommodate a lot of artists with what's happening currently. We see so many strikes. I mean, some even went to jail for the struggle of the entertainment industry to be opened. So I've learned a lot, during this time, during this pandemic, but most importantly is we soldier on.
Yes, and that we do.
Yeah.
So tell me, where can people actually access your music?
My music is available on iTunes, Spotify, in fact, all digital platforms.
Lovely.
And what's interesting right now, I'm working on 2 projects.
Okay.
It's an Amapiano project
Okay.
and a solely Slogan project. The Amapiano project, I work with my brother called Nombila. He's signed by Top Chap under Moby Dixon. Very, very talented guy. Very talented guy. So, if you want to really, really experience me at my best, I suggest that you go for these projects.
Sure.
One of them will be out the next month. Is it September? October. Yes, October. It will be out October. The second one end October.
Sure.
So if you really want to experience me, that's the one.
Slogan the Rapper is his name, everybody. So let's speak about your other projects, as well. Tell us more in terms of what you've released, whether it be singles or bodies of work.
I've released a single called Religion, which I did with my brothers at Posega. They really helped me up on that one. It's currently sitting on 15,000 views right now. So thank you to everybody that's been, pushing that video with us. And far beyond that, I was able to work on a project called the Slogan EP, which is done tremendously well. We skyrocket on #1 on iTunes.
Lovely.
For about a week, So that's really impactful, especially from an artist that is still growing to those platforms of maintaining whatever they have. So far beyond that, the projects are out right now on all those social platforms we're speaking about, which is iTunes and all of that. So Slogan EP is the one that we are currently pushing, but we're in a platform right now where we are leading up to new music.
Got you.
Exactly.
So keen for that. All righty then. So where can people find you on the digital space?
All right, cool. Which camera?
That one over there.
Listen, you could check me out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. It's simply Slogan the Rapper. I repeat, Slogan the Rapper. But if you want to call me 07, I'm lying.
Lovely stuff. Slogan will be performing for us. What song are you going to be performing for us?
This song is called Kulile. It features my brother Unombila from Top Chap, like I said.
Yay.
It's on the new EP. I want to see you on your dance floor with this one. On the dance floor with us, you know. So that's the song we're doing today. It's a brand new song. It's not out yet, so we're doing an exclusive for the show.
Love that. Thank you so much, Slogan.
Thank you so much.
I look
Thank you
forward
so
to your
much.
performance.
Definitely.
Alrighty then, SSG family. That was Slogan the rapper who will be performing for us later on in the show. Do not go anywhere. After the break, I have my third and final studio guest.
KNR is on the pulse of local and international content, offering audiences an opportunity to be part of the global conversation in a fast-changing and increasingly digitized world of communication. Headquartered in East London, Eastern Cape, we broadcast nationwide and stream to the world. 9 to 12 is a continuation of compelling content which appeals to our diverse society. Lulu Harmans and Nels Diniso, the producer of the show, have something customized for you.
It is a lifestyle magazine show. We range from health to relationships, celebrating women on top. And of course, on Thursdays, we focus on tourism, especially in the Eastern Cape. We bring you your way. Friday, we do radio according to you.
In an increasingly digitized and global economy, businesses and state entities are under pressure to stand out and create awareness about key offerings and new services. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let's do radio according to you.
Welcome back to the show. You are still tuned into Sunday Sessions with Gugu. My next guest in studio this evening is Ulwazi Makaka. Ulwazi is the Buffalo City Performing Arts Council coordinator, an event coordinator, and DJ. He's commonly known as DJ Lento. Ulwazi was a part of a group of creative artists who took to the streets of East London this week to protest in solidarity with their counterparts who were arrested last week when they blockaded roads in KwaZulu-Natal, while calling for the government to relax restrictions on the entertainment industry. So similar protests were held across the country, calling on President Cyril Ramaphosa to open the industry so that artists could start earning an income. It's no secret that the creative industry has taken quite the knock as a result of COVID-19 restrictions, which have limited access, to live events. So Ulwazi joins us in studio this evening to speak about the artists' struggle. Thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Pleasure.
Alrighty then. Can we speak about, let's just re-emphasize the purpose of the protest, Yagleveki.
Yes.
What was the purpose of it?
Look, the purpose of what we were doing is we wanted to demonstrate that our government must just ease it down for us. Remember, we've been applying all this funding since the lockdown.
Yeah.
And it's very difficult to access this funding for the artists.
Yeah.
And you can just imagine like 5 months without nothing.
Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
it's quite
we
tough.
needed to do some action to show them, Okuti, this is not on. They're hungry.
And, the end goal, protest, what are you hoping to achieve from the protest action later this week?
Look, we just want a government to at least to give us a 70%. Remember, the clubs and the taverns and they are open.
Sure.
So now, but the problem is now they're closing at 10. So that's when we make money mostly, So at least our government could just give us a 70% so that we can deal with the, with the crowds.
Yeah.
But we have our own way to manage those according to the COVID-19 regulations.
Yeah. Sure,
Yes.
sure. So, this week, what kind of artists were represented at the protest? Which different types of artists, elements were there?
No, look, every genre was there. Was there, I mean, like from craft,
Oh, wow, yes.
Yeah, so there were a lot of artists, like, showing Gucci, enough is enough. We need to do this thing once and for all. Even like on the 16th, there is another one that is going to be happening in Cape Town
Okay.
and also in Pretoria.
Yeah.
So we're saying hashtag Vula President, please, for us.
Yeah. No, for sure. And I think ndifuna uthetha specifically towards artists as a PCM. Excuse me,
yes.
yeah. Have artists as a PCM been receiving support? And if so, njani? And if not,
To be honest, I don't think so. BCM has done nothing for the artist. And as we stand currently right now, we are trying to engage them to say, please assist where you can assist. Because there are those who don't take anywhere, who are not even privileged, like the others. Like we've got something, businesses and stuff like that. So we know there are artists who are in the business stream. So, but I mean, to watch someone suffering and, it is not easy, but when they need us, we're always there for them.
Sure. No, ndiyakova. So now that we are on level 2, I think you touched on this briefly ngokubese saqala about clubs ziyavalwa ngo-10. So I want to know, now that siku level 2, what can you do and what can you not do as an artist? Like, what are the restrictions looking like?
Look, the only thing we're asking is 70% capacity
Okay.
on the venues.
Sure.
Because we cannot do anything with like 50 people attendance.
Ndiyakova.
So at least 70% will do it for us for in the meantime. But we are looking for the 100% anyway. But at least 70% is something out of nothing. Yeah.
No, ndiyakova. So, Lwazi, what words of encouragement, Mhlambi, would you have to say for our young artists, Mhlambi, who are feeling a bit despondent, and a bit let down? What would you say to them?
Look, it is not an easy road to be an artist. It is not. There's a lot of sacrifice that you have to do. We see people like superstars, DJs, everyone on TV, but we think that it's easy to get there. It is not. Education is number one, Like right now, no one knew the pandemic, but now all of a sudden the artists are suffering. They're suffering because they are not well taught about the industry, how to save money, how to engage in businesses. So at least now they can see that, hey, being an artist is not an easy, but anyway, what I can say, education is number one. Save a lot of money if you're in the business of an artist. So that is what I can say to the young ones that are watching.
And I just want to speak more about Gugu, about your participation in the entertainment industry. I mentioned earlier on, your experience in events, your experience as a DJ as well. Let's talk about that, Jay.
Look, I've been around. I've come a long way. I've come a long way. I know the industry. I know the loops and holes of the industry.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, it's quite an interesting journey for me. And even now, I'm doing well in my space of my business.
That's good.
Slash artist.
Sure.
So at least I did feel the pain. I did feel the stomach when this pandemic started. But I didn't give up. And I said, I'm going to push my business to be there, And I do support other artists as well who don't take anywhere, So...
Okay. No, ndiyavuyela. So, just lastly, Lwazi wethu, how can people access Wena as Ulwazi on the digital platforms, as well as EBC Pack. How can people access and communicate, Nani?
Okay. EBC Pack is also on Facebook.
Okay.
It's called BC Pack, a Buffalo City Performance Arts Council.
Okay.
And I'm also on Facebook as well as Ulwazi Makaka. DJ Wise, DJ Lento SA.
I love that. And thank you so much. And we hear that it's your birthday, Ngomso, so happy birthday for tomorrow.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Alrighty then. That was Ulwazi Makaga unpacking what happened this week in terms of our creative artists protesting and asking the president, please give us a 70% capacity at events. So coming up after the break, we have our musical performance from Slogan the Rapper. So don't go anywhere.
KNR is on the pulse of local and international content, offering audiences an opportunity to be part of the global conversation in a fast-changing and increasingly digitized world of communication. Headquartered in East London, Eastern Cape, we broadcast nationwide and stream to the world. Your space is invaded by Pure Tsiba between 12 and 3 p.m. Not in a bad way. Pure brings calmness to your day.
What we do is to try and get busy and we strive for development and also to grow you because it is educational at the same time fun things, because I do know sometimes we just want to let our hair.
In an increasingly digitized and global economy, businesses and state entities are under pressure to stand out and create awareness about key offerings and new services. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let's do radio according to you.
Yo, what's up? Slogan. Let's get it.
Bill up.
KNR is on the pulse of local and international content, offering audiences an opportunity to be part of the global.
Hey. Olwen. It's about Slogan with the Nombila. This song is for my people, your people. It's easy, you know? All you gotta do is just move. But reporting live for SSG. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having us. This song is taken off our new project called Dilanga. Yeah. Hey. Yeah. sing with us. They can't hear you at home, bro. What they say? If you're at home right now, I need you to dance with us. 1, 2, 3, go! Thank you so much.
Thank you very
Slogan.
much.
KNR is on the pulse of local and international content, offering audiences an opportunity to be part of the global conversation in a fast-changing and increasingly digitized world of communication. Headquartered in East London, Eastern Cape, we broadcast nationwide and stream to the world. Your space is invaded by Pure Tsiba between 12 and 3 p.m. Not in a bad way. Pure brings calmness to your day.
What we do is to try and get busy and we strive for development and also to grow you because it is educational at the same time fun things, because I do know sometimes we just want to let our hair.
In an increasingly digitized and global economy, businesses and state entities are under pressure to stand out and create awareness about key offerings and new services. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let's do radio according to you.
Wow, wow, wow. What a great performance by Unombila and Slogan, the rapper, with the song called Kulile. Will actually be available soon. They just performed for us exclusively on Sunday Sessions with Gugu. Thank them so, so much. And of course, coming up, we still have the headline set with LT. So while we prepare for that, we hope that you'll still stay tuned, so don't go anywhere.
it on myself while my cup is running over. Let me give you some. Love is good like ooh, it's something. Got enough for everyone. I just wanna have some fun and take a moment, sugarcoat it, come on and party down. Tell you what, I love your life. Sweet kind of love, sweet kind of love. I'm a star and I'm shining bright. Sweet kind of love, sweet kind of love. Ooh, baby, it feels so right. Sweet kind of love, sweet kind of love. Like
amazing show on Sunday Sessions with Gugu. I'd like to thank my studio guests, Leanne van der Merwe, Slogan the rapper, and of course, Ulwazi Magaga. Next week, we are back with some more exciting content and of course, some lovely entertainment. LT, it's been good. It's been so good. Next week, we will see you. Same time, same place. It's been good.